They pay a peppercorn rent and in return they occupy an otherwise empty building. Join me in this fine period property in Sheffield where we'll be meeting one of the so-called property guardians. Yes, good morning to you from this fine period property. You know, over the centuries, it's been a private home, a mental asylum, a community centre, and now it's home to 6 people. We'll be meeting one of them in just a moment, but the 6 people who live here are among a growing number of people who've opted for an alternative form of cheap accommodation. Well, we've come inside, and at the risk of sounding a bit like an estate agent, would you just take a look at some of these fine old period features? I want to introduce you to the lady who lives here. This is Amandine. Good morning to you, Amandine. Now, you moved in what, December? Yeah. How have you been getting on? How have you been finding the experience of being a property guardian?
It's been really good. It's been really fun being able to be creative and using different things around the property to make my own. And yeah, it's been an interesting experience.
Bit spooky living on your own in somewhere like this?
Initially, when there weren't many other housemates around, but now the building's full up, it's nice, yeah.
Let me introduce you now to Marie Taylor. You saw her again, Marie. Obviously, the tenants don't have as many legal rights as perhaps a conventional tenant. They don't get very much notice of eviction. They don't know when you're going to come and inspect the properties. Is that a problem for many of your people?
It hasn't been, no. I mean, everyone comes into this kind of with their eyes wide open. They know what the situation is. The benefits do seem to outweigh the cons, definitely, being a property guardian. It does mean that it's flexible for them as well, and they're not tied down to 6-month or 12-month tenancies, so it's often a real positive for them to be flexible.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'll be speaking to you a bit later. Before I hand back to you, though, I just want to show you some more of the features. One of the advantages to property guardianship is that the guardians get to choose any of the furniture that's left in the building. This is an old leaflet rack, I'm told. And then, look at this. This is really impressing me this morning. How many of us can boast a water fountain in our homes? Take a look at that. Brilliant.
Oh, yes.
Back to
I'd
you.
like one of those.
Very nice.
Jenny Hill joins us safe. Outside an empty community centre in Sheffield. Morning, Jenny.
Well, good morning to you. You know, over the centuries, this place has been a private home, a mental asylum, as you say, a community centre, and now it's home to 6 people. They're among a growing number of people who are opting for an alternative form of cheap accommodation. Well, we've come inside, and this is where I'm going to sound a little bit like an estate agent. Just look at these fine period features. It really is an incredible room to live in. I want to introduce you to the lady who lives here. This is Amandine. Good morning to you, Amandine. You moved in December. How are you finding being a property guardian?
Yeah, it's great. It's a really interesting place to live with interesting aspects of the building, and yeah, it's been great.
You get just 2 weeks' notice when it's time to go. How do you cope with that?
Well, with this building, because it's listed, it usually takes about 6 months for planning permission, so I feel quite secure in this
Both of you. Okay, let me introduce you. I've been very smitten with this place this morning, mainly because property guardians get to take whatever furniture's left in the properties. This is an old leaflet rack, and I'm sorry, I'm just loving playing with this. I've got to show you again. Just look at this. This was left in the building, so Amandine gets her nice fresh water supply every morning from that. Look at that. Nice water fountain for you. Back to you both.